Welcome, 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 everybody. Happy Saturday. Happy Navaratri. We are still in the last 3 days of the celebration of the goddess. So we've been moving through, if you've been following or if you've been doing any sort of internal work yourself, as you know, we've moved through those 3 days that are very specifically dedicated to Durga, 3 days dedicated to Lakshmi, and now moving into 3 days dedicated to Saraswati. And Saraswati, the end of this sort of cycle is that what we've been doing is that we've been building energy, right? This is Shakti, is that Shakti is the energy that animates. Shakti is the energy that continues to grow and expand and move everything to its fruition, right? And then when it's reached its fruition, it's the same energy that causes that to dissolve and to go back to the source that it originally came from. Right? So the Shakti is this constantly renewing, constantly moving energy. And that is what the goddess represents, right? Is that she constantly is becoming new and different forms for all beings to find their fruition, right? To come to the fullness of themselves. Just gonna get with that. It's fine, fire alarm. I wasn't saying anything important, just I know there's a set number of times that it goes off, but it seems like every single time it's one more than I think it's supposed to be. I think it's done. Okay. So we have this, right, movement of Shakti that is the purpose of celebrating Navaratri, right, is to celebrate how this energy is turning itself over in your life right this minute, right, how it's turning itself over through you. And Saraswati represents for us the energy of our highest comprehension, our highest knowledge, right? Our highest knowledge of what it means to be a soul, highest knowledge of what it means to understand that this world is that constantly flowing energy, that it's not a progression of I'm born, I live, I die, that's the end. It's the reality that everything every day is being born, is finding its fullness, is dissolving, and then is being reborn again. Right? That there's not this sense of completion equals ending or ending equals nothing, right? Is that there is no such thing as end, there is no such thing as beginning. And so with Saraswati, when our mind is in that place where we know that that's the underlying reality, is we look at things differently. We make our decisions differently. And so she's at the end of this experience of turning this energy over in yourself so that when you come through the end of the cycle, you begin again, right? The day after Navaratri, you begin again, but you begin again with that knowledge of who you really are and the world that you're really living in, right? So the opportunity is always that we are letting dissolve the places in us and the things in our lives that have become too rigid, too stuck, too stagnant. And the places where we've completely forgotten or maybe never even known, right? Yoga says this is our first thing, is realizing that our mind is ignorant of this reality. It's forgotten. It doesn't remember that there is something beyond what we consider to be physical death. It doesn't remember that there is something beyond ending, right? It thinks only in this linear progression. So Saraswati is that reminder that everything is in this constant state of flowing and movement, but it's always complete. Right? That's the number one key, is that whatever you see happening, the details of it, it's always complete. There's never anything missing. So that's the opportunity, is to bring our mind to that place where we are aware that whatever we think are the definitions, the beginning and the end of things in our lives, that those definitions are created by our mind. They're not real. They feel real, right? We use them very effectively to organize the world, but to remember that that's not the whole reality. And if we can do that, again, we start to reappear in our lives differently. We start to make different choices, feel differently about what we see going on in ourselves and others. So Saraswati is that stepping into the highest knowledge, the highest consciousness of who and what you are, and treating everything that you do in your life from that perspective. Nothing is ever insignificant anymore, right? So comfortable seat if you're there already. And at the same time, the things that you are sure are life and death and are the most important, you know that they're not, right? So nothing is insignificant and nothing is the be all end all of your existence. You will be born again. The energy in you will continue to rise, expand, find its fullness. Doesn't matter how far you fall, you will rise again. So with the eyes closed for a moment, just let yourself drop into your breath. Saraswati, they say, is the one who rides the breath. If you have no idea how to do this stuff with your mind and I'm just talking nonsense, focus on your breath. You'll find Saraswati. Let your breath get longer and deeper so you feel the expansion through not just the upper chest, but through the middle ribs and through the low belly. Let every breath be that, how wide can I expand? Not just front and back, but right and left. And this morning, just 3 times, I'm going to chant the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. It's nothing to do with Saraswati. It's actually a prayer to Shiva. But because there's just so much that continues to go on in the world, right? It's a reminder that whatever life is handing you is that you have to live it to the best of your ability, right? And that's what the Mahamrityunjaya is. It's a prayer to Shiva that says, may I not be taken from this life before I really know what it is to live. May that physical ending not come too soon while I'm still clinging. Liberate me from that fear that it's all going to be taken away from me. And so we chant this mantra for ourselves. We chant it for everyone who is living in that kind of fear, for those who are transitioning in any way in their lives. So if you know the mantra, you're welcome to chant it with me. If not, you can just listen. Deep breath in for Om, everyone. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urva Orkamiva Bandhanam Mrityor Mokshiyamamritat Swaha. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urva Orkamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyamamritat Swaha. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urva Orkamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyamamritat Swaha. Mrityor Mokshiyamamritat Swaha. May you never forget that whatever is ending in your life is that there is never anything lost, truly. That the essence of you will continue on forever. Whether you like that idea or you don't like that idea, the essence of you will go on forever. The essence of all beings will go on forever. So we grieve for what is lost to our minds. Our minds can no longer define things the same way. When we remember that nothing is truly lost, wholeness is maintained. And we are able to stay in that place of equanimity and maybe even experience a sense of joy in this world where things are always being born and always dying. Let your eyes float open and go ahead and let yourself come forward onto hands and knees. Enough of this chanting nonsense. This is very Saraswati, right? The practices for her are all the ones that are much more involved with your mind. Start to cat-cow, please. Hands and knees begin to cat-cow. Good. Right, so she's the one that they say rides on the breath. So you can find her in that subtle energy that is prana, flow of the breath, because the flow of the breath is never ceasing, always flowing. You can find her in that flow of your thoughts, because guess what? The flow of thought is also never ceasing, never stops. So when we meditate and we attempt to make that flow stop, is we end up fighting with ourselves, right? So the practice of meditation is not to make your mind stop, but it's to make that flow of thought become so steady, and your awareness to be able to perceive the difference between thoughts that are just thoughts and truth that is ongoing, right? Truth that is beneath your thinking, that never changes. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Spread your fingers nice and wide, tuck your toes and lift your hips and come into downward facing dog. Saraswati is above all else seeking that higher knowledge. Nice, you guys. Let your heels come to steadiness if you've been pedaling your feet. Nice job. I'm going to walk your feet forward towards your hands, feet all the way to the top of your mat. Good. Separate your feet as wide as your hips, so give a little space, and then bend your knees. Keep your hands touching the floor or blocks if you cannot touch the floor. So as the knees bend, scoop into your low belly. Good. Round into your low back. That's it. And then come up on the balls of your feet, please. Yep, knees are bent, but come up on the balls of your feet and curl into your low belly. Nice. And now let your heels drop down to the floor. Bend your knees deeper. Drop your hips all the way back towards chair. Scoop into your belly. Stretch the arms up alongside your ears. Good. Stay with that scoop of the belly. So don't let the belly and the ribs drop towards your thighs. Pull up. Nice. And then come up on the balls of your feet again in chair pose. Good. Drawing your hips back so your knees are not coming forward. So Lauren, watch your knees don't come forward. Good, you guys. Come all the way up to stand on your tippy toes. Hug those inner thighs. That's it. Nice, Elliot. You got it. And then let your heels come back down to the floor. Exhale, bow forward. Take your hands all the way out and down again. Bend your knees, drop your belly onto your thighs. Let your head drop. Wrap your arms around the backs of your legs. Give your inner knees a little push wide. So you're pressing the inner knees out towards the arms. Root through the big toe mounds of your feet. And then stay with your head dropped. Scoop your belly again. Press your hips all the way up to the sky to straighten your legs. Keep hugged in as much as you can. Really work the low belly. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor, please. Again, bend your knees with your hands on the floor. Scoop your belly. Good. Move your hips back in space a little more. And then inhale the arms up alongside your ears. Chair pose. Yep. Yeah, lift the chest, lift the chest, lift the chest. And then come up on the balls of your feet. Again, you have to have that hug of your shins. Big toe mounds pressed down, but widen your knees. Butt goes back. Nice. Come all the way up onto tippy toes, straight legs. Reach up to the sky. Pull up through the front of your pelvic bones. Yep. And then release your heels to the floor, please. Exhale, hands out and down. Bring the hands to the heart center. Aha. Now you're awake. Good. Make sure your feet are not super wide on your mat. They should be just underneath your hips. Baby toes parallel the outside edges of your mat. Inhale the arms around and up. Reach for the sky. Always think of that as like the cowboy voice, reach for the sky. Exhale, bow forward, release the hands down to the floor, please. Good. Inhale, lift up halfway, lengthen your spine. Hands can come to shins if you'd like. Exhale, bow all the way forward again. Step the right leg back behind you, drop the knee, take both arms to the sky, Anjanayasana, deep breath. And then exhale, hands back down to the floor, lift the back knee, step back to plank pose, upward push-up. Good. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. And then begin to rise up into cobra. Lift head, neck, and chest. Good. Exhale, release, downward facing dog. Nice, guys. Right foot steps forward between the hands. Exhale, your left foot forward to meet it, standing forward fold. Good. Inhale the arms around and up, come all the way to stand, reach for the sky. And then exhale, bring hands together at the heart center. Yeah, bring heaven back down to you. Inhale, stretch the arms around and up. Exhale, bow forward. Good. Inhale, lift and lengthen, come up halfway. Again, not letting your hips push back. Move everything forward. And then exhale, bow again, scooping into the low belly. Good. Step the left foot back behind you. Drop the knee, arms to the sky, Anjanayasana. Good. Full breath into your side ribs. Don't get into just the upper chest. And then release the hands down to the floor. Lift the back knee. Step back to plank pose, upward push-up. Lower down slow. Find your exhale. Good. Inhale, rise up into cobra. Nice. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Left foot steps forward between the hands. Exhale the right foot forward. Come to standing forward fold. Bow your head. And then inhale, take the arms all the way around and up. Exhale, hands come together at the heart. Good. A little faster. Inhale, sweep the arms around and up. Exhale, bow forward. You're like, why faster? Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, bow deeply. Right foot steps back behind you. Inhale the arms to the sky with the back knee on the floor, right? Same action. Good. Exhale, hands down to the floor. Lift the back knee, step back plank. That's your inhale, find it. Lower down, exhale. Rise up, cobra, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. So moving faster doesn't mean getting crazy. Right foot steps forward, inhale. Exhale, left foot forward, standing forward fold. Keep exhale. Inhale the arms up and around, deep breath. Exhale, hands back to the heart. Good. Inhale, sweep the arms around and up. The idea is to get lost in your breath. Exhale, bow forward. Good. Inhale, lift and lengthen, extend. Exhale, bow deeply. Left foot steps back, drop the knee, arms to the sky. Find your inhale. Good. Exhale, hands down to the floor. Lift the back knee, step back to plank. Find the inhale. Lower down, exhale. Rise up, cobra. And again, you can move slower if this pace does not work. Exhale, downward facing dog. Stay with your breath. Left foot steps forward, inhale. Right foot steps forward, exhale into that forward fold. Inhale the arms around and up. Exhale, hands come together at the heart. Good. Inhale, sweep the arms around and up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, bow deeply. Right foot steps back, drop the knee, arms to the sky, full breath. Exhale, hands down. Lift the back knee, step back, plank, inhale. Lower down, exhale. Rise up, cobra, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot steps forward, inhale. Left foot steps forward, exhale. Forward fold, inhale the arms to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Getting warm. Inhale the arms up and around. Exhale, bow forward. Getting warm watching you. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, bow deeply. Left leg steps back, drop the knee, arms to the sky. Haven't done this in a while, I know. Exhale, hands down to the floor. Lift the back knee, step back, plank, inhale. Lower down to your belly, exhale. Rise up, cobra, inhale. Don't throw yourself around. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward, inhale. Right foot steps forward, exhale. Inhale the arms around and up. Exhale, hands together at the heart. Good. I think we got one more. Inhale the arms around and up. Exhale, bow forward. I forgot the second side. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, bow deeply. Left foot steps back behind you, drop the knee. Not you did one extra. Inhale the arms up. Good. Exhale, hands down to the floor. Lift that back knee, step back, plank. Deep breath in. Exhale, lower down to your belly. Rise up, cobra, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Left foot steps forward, inhale. Right foot steps forward, exhale. Inhale the arms around and up. Exhale, hands come together at the heart. Pause. Let the eyes close. Either keep the hands here or drop the arms alongside you, palms facing forward. Mind is this thing where it wants to be very prepared for everything that happens. So when things move too quickly, the mind gets very upset because it's not prepared. It doesn't have time to decide how it's going to do things and what it likes and what it doesn't like, and is it all happening the way that we hope that it will? So we practice this sort of flowing action to get out of the mind that wants to predict and wants to control what comes next. Sun salutes are great because you know exactly what's coming next. Your mind still resists it. Sequence doesn't change. All that changes is the mind's desire to control the pace. You start to relax, find your breath, and with your breath, you can go through your life in a way that is not stuck in your mind. Greatest teaching of yoga is you are not your mind. It's not the beginning or the end of you. If you know that, truly know that, the world is a different place. One more breath, drop your awareness down to the heart, maybe down to the root, down to your feet. Or not your mind. And inhale the arms up to the sky with the eyes open. Good. Exhale, release hands down to the floor. We stop. Step your right foot back just a little bit. Take both legs straight towards Triconasana. Use blocks underneath the hands if you like. Make sure your feet are not directly in line with each other, so move them a little wider right and left if necessary. And then turn that right hip forward a lot. Yeah. Good. And then walk your hands forward a tiny bit more. Again, you can have blocks underneath your hands here. And then lift your chest, start to cat-cow your spine. So your legs are in Saraswati. You're moving your spine. Really feel your feet. Again, the purpose of the cat-cow is to remind you to get in touch with your breath being something dynamic, that even when you are holding a pose, you're not holding it static because there's still this energy moving. And if we lose touch with that in any posture, then we're locked. We're locked in our joints, and we're locked in our mind, then we've lost the essence of the pose, right? We've lost the essence of what it means to do asana. We do asana to become aware of ourselves, not just as a mechanical body, but as a pranic body. Nice. Come back to stillness, please. Excellent, you guys. Bend that left knee again. Slide your right leg further back into a longer lunge. And then take both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your right until you come to the center of your mat. Saraswati Badakanasana. Turn your toes. Good. And then plant the right hand directly underneath that shoulder. Take your left arm up with the sky, spinal twist. Good. Keep your right hip lifted and wide. You got it. And then release that hand down to the floor, please. Plant the left hand, keep the right arm up. Keeping the left hip and inner thigh pressing wide. Nice. And then release that hand down to the floor. Nice job. Take your hands to your hips. Come all the way up to stand. Turn your left toes forward towards the top of your mat. Stretch your arms out wide, letter T. Straighten both legs. Good. Triconasana. So start to extend out through that left side rib cage. Reach. And then let the left hand begin to touch down to the floor. Right arm up to the sky. Pause. No weight on that left hand. And then cartwheel your arms all the way back up, standing. You're like, oh, I don't want to. And then extend out again. Reach out. Let that left hand drop down towards the floor, right arm to the sky, no weight on that hand. And then pull yourself all the way back up. I know you haven't done any sideways strengthening in a million years either. One more time, extend all the way out. Let that left hand touch down, right arm reaches to the sky. Remember what it felt like to put no weight on that hand and hold yourself. And then let that left hand touch down to the floor, the front leg, or a block. But remember to continue to hold yourself through that sideways. Right. Okay, this is the thing, is just because in this sequence we say we go through to Saraswati, that doesn't mean we forget about Durga, right? And Durga is that energy that says you have to hold yourself, right? I will help you, but everything that happens in your life has to happen through you. Even if it's only accepting that something comes into your life, it has to happen with your participation. So Saraswati cannot come and save you. Durga cannot come and save you. Lakshmi cannot come and save you, but they can empower what's in you that is your capability of saving yourself. Power of the goddess, right? Makes you invincible. Bend your left knee again, release both hands down to the floor. Spin that back heel up. Drop the back knee, use a blanket if you like. Inhale, both arms up to the sky, Anjanayasana. Beautiful. Hands come to heart center, please. Prayer twist. Right elbow hooks to the outside of the left knee. If a prayer twist is not happening yet this morning, then a right forearm onto the thigh or hand to the outer knee. Good. Excellent, you guys. Deep breath. Move your heart towards your thumbs. And then unwind, arms to the sky, please. Full breath. And then exhale, hands back down to the floor. Nice. Lift the back knee. Step back to plank pose. And here your option is to do the vinyasa or hold plank. So if you're not lowering down to your belly and coming up into cobra, hold plank. You're like, oh, I don't like that. I'll do the vinyasa. And then if you are coming up into cobra, then come back downward facing dog. If you held plank, nice face, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Excellent, you guys. Right foot steps forward between the hands, please. Left foot steps forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight, Saraswati. Blocks underneath the hands if you like. Again, really lifting and widening your right low belly. So pull everything in and up, and then send that outer left hip forward, forward, forward. Yeah, it never feels correct the first time someone puts your pelvis in actual square. In this position, you're like, there's no freaking way that that's right. I can't be that off center. Yes, you are. And that again is the mind. I can't possibly be the one that's wrong here. Yes, you are. Good, you guys. Feel your feet and then walk your hands forward just a little bit further so you have a little bit more extension from your armpits. Keep your foot on the floor, don't worry. And then lifting the chest, cat-cow your spine. Again, hands can be on blocks. Be able to feel yourself moving that line from your armpit to your hips. So even here, right, cat-cow should always be this relationship between your shoulders and your pelvis. So if your pelvis cannot move in this position, use blocks and maybe even take your blocks higher, so that you can get the sensation where as you're moving your spine, your pelvis can tilt. And it's going to be subtle in this position, I know, because the hamstrings are in a deep stretch. But there should be subtle movement. All right. Nice, guys. Really good. Your next exhale, go ahead and release the cat-cow. Nice job. Bend your right knee again. Slide that left leg back to a longer lunge. And then both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your left until you come to the center of your mat. Pigeon. Nice, Tina. Nice, Sue. Nice, Stacy. All of you guys. Feel the big toe mounds of your feet and then lift and spread your toes so that you feel the wideness of your feet too. Excellent. And then walk your belly towards your right thigh. So you're moving your hands towards the right foot. Good. So it's a twist, but you're not moving your hands off the floor. Yeah, you're just walking towards the right leg. Nice, guys. Good. Keep your left hip nice and wide, and then turn your left rib cage under. Yeah. Almost like you're going to reach that right arm to the sky, but you're not going to reach the right arm up. Good. And then walk yourself back towards center. And then walk to your left, belly moving towards the left thigh. Good. And again, turning your ribs. So let that right rib cage tuck under so that you can lift the left side a little higher and let yourself really move as deeply as you can. And then pull that right hip wide again. Good. So if I don't tell you to take your hands off the mat, you somehow, most of us, don't try as hard in the twist because you're like, oh, I don't have to. You have both hands, use them, right? Make this twist as big and as meaningful as any other twist you've ever done. That's that Saraswati energy is. Why would you treat this as less significant than any other moment of your life? Walk yourself back towards center, please. Take your hands to your hips, come all the way up to stand. Good. Turn your right toes forward towards the top of your mat. Stretch the arms out wide, letter T. So your legs are in preparation for triangle pose. Squeeze the feet towards each other. Yeah, really let that front knee go a little wider so it rotates towards the middle of your front foot. Don't worry if that changes the angle of your pelvis. And then extend out through your right side ribs, reach as far as you can. And then let the right hand touch down, left arm to the sky. No weight on that right hand. So just hold yourself there. And then squeeze into your waist, come all the way back up. Cartwheel the arms back to that letter T. Good. And then extend all the way back out again. See if you can reach a little further. Don't shorten it because you think this is hard. And then let the right hand touch down, left arm to the sky. Again, no weight on that right hand. Squeeze the legs. And then pull yourself all the way back up. Yeah. How many more times could you do that? Who knows? Extend out through that right side rib cage. And then let that right hand reach down to the floor, left arm to the sky. Again, no weight for a moment. Remember what it's like to hold yourself. And then let that hand really touch down to the front leg, floor, or block. Good. Let it bear weight, but don't forget to keep that awareness in your legs, awareness in your side waist. Good. Head in line with your spine. Nice. Good, you guys. Saraswati, maybe more than many of the other goddesses, is very no nonsense. She has no patience for the craziness in our mind. She says, figure it out. She has no patience for things that don't matter to the world that she knows that she lives in. Take one more breath. Then bend that right knee, release both hands down to the floor. Good, spin your back heel up, sorry. Drop your back knee, use a blanket if you'd like. Arms to the sky, Anjanayasana. Good. Nice, and then hands to heart center, please. Prayer twist, left elbow comes to the outside of the right knee. Good, keep your hips moving slightly forward here so that you are in front of that back knee, not directly on top of it. Nice, Victoria. You got it, Andy. Nice. Good, you guys. Beautiful. One more breath. Move your heart up towards your thumbs. Yes. And then unwind. Take the arms back up towards the sky. Deep breath in. Good. And then exhale. Release the hands down to the floor. Please lift your back knee. Step back to plank pose, upward push up. And again, the option here is to do the vinyasa or to hold plank. Good. So you're either holding plank or you're lowering down to your belly or through chaturanga, coming into cobra or upward facing dog. Beautiful. And then coming back to downward facing dog. If you're in plank, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Good. Full deep breath in. Exhale, bring your knees down to the floor, please. Hands and knees. Start to circle your hips. I know you really thought that was going to be child's pose. I know, that's what you thought. So your brain was in child's pose before I even started talking. Move your hips the other direction. Good. And then come back to stillness, please. Grab a block, place it between your feet, and then come back to sit in Virasana. And I'm teasing you. No child pose. Back in Virasana. So between your heels, good. Using a block if you need, using 6 blocks if you need. Nice. If the position truly does not work, then you can absolutely sit cross-legged. Okay. And then a little alternate nostril breathing, letting the eyes close. You can use your hand here or not, your choice. You can do it mentally, breathing in through the right nostril, out through the left. Or you can lift the hand, curl the first 2 fingers in, extend thumb, ring, and pinky. And then as you inhale your breath, take the thumb to the right nostril, close it off, exhale left. Then inhale left, close off that nostril with your ring finger, exhale right. Then inhale right, close off, exhale left. So you can use the hand to do the nostrils, or you can just mentally follow in through one, out through the other. Breathing stimulates right and left side of the brain, nervous system. Those 2 main channels that it is activating, described as the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon are doing what? They're constantly, eternally chasing each other across the sky. So if you let yourself just continue to follow the cycle and contemplate, right? What is that space that is between the inhale and the exhale? What is that space that is not the sun and not the moon, but somehow holds them both? What is the sky? Those are the questions that the yogi's mind is seeking, right? Not just what is the sun, what is the moon. You can define those things and say, oh, okay, I got it. What is the sky that holds them both? What is the space that is between life and death? Beginnings and endings. Because it's that knowledge that Saraswati says that if you know yourself to exist as that, then beginning and ending means something completely different. Life and death means something completely different. And you feel your breath not just as this mechanical, it's what keeps me alive, or maybe it's just pleasant to do. But it's that pulsation, that representation of what is material, what is immaterial, and what is that space in between. What is eternal? How is it possible that without even knowing what eternal is, that is you? How is it possible that with complete ignorance of what infiniteness is, that is you? If you're like, no way it isn't, enjoy your breath. When you exhale through that right nostril, release the breathing technique. If you're using your hand, let your hand come down to rest, raise your thighs. Give yourself a moment just to feel the breath to return to its now new natural rhythm. It takes less than 3 minutes for the breath to change the orientation of our mind. Less than 3 minutes. When your mind is out of control, do you ever remember to stop and breathe? Once in a blue moon. And once you have breathed, you let yourself stop and feel the space of your mind after that breathing, or do you just say, oh, okay, good, I can get back to whatever I was doing? My breath is a tool for me to get back to my craziness. No, it's not. Your breath is a tool to bring you back home. Breadcrumbs. Lead us back to reality. More full breath. And just release on the exhale, and the eyes open, come back onto hands and knees. Got it. Downward facing dog. And take your right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Start to walk your hands back towards your feet. So you're coming into a standing split if you don't have a wall behind you. If you have a wall behind you, you're still moving towards standing split. You're just going to walk your foot up the wall if you find it. Good. So walk yourself back as much as you can. If you found the wall, tuck your toes under so the ball of your foot is on the wall, and push your foot into the wall so that you have this feeling of keeping that leg really, really engaged. Yeah. And then pressing into your hands, lift your chest, gaze forward at your fingertips wherever you are. So you, again, you extend out through armpit to hip. Beautiful. And then walk yourself forward again, back into down dog split. Nice job. And then bring that right knee forward and wide, pigeon pose, knee towards your right wrist. Good. Dropping the back knee down to the floor. Keeping yourself upright. Walk your hands in towards that front shin. If you need to do pigeon on your back, stay in Anjanayasana for a moment, and then you can come down. Yeah, so you come back up to Anjanayasana for a second, and then you can come down. Yeah, then I want you upright for a moment. Yeah, So block's gonna be underneath the hands and leg, pressing down to that front shin. Good. Get a little taller. Beautiful. And then optional is to bend the back knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, reach for the foot or the ankle with the right hand, so the twisting quad stretch. And if you're in Anjanayasana, same thing. Good. Nice, Stacy. Nice, Andy. Beautiful, you guys. Really nice. And then slowly unwind, please, letting the foot go, bringing the hands back in front of you. Now go ahead and walk yourself forward. Come down to your forearms if you'd like. So now you can come onto your back for pigeon. Now you have permission. It's so funny because you're at home. It's like, do whatever you want. Nice. But I like that, having to do something active first in the pose, because that reminds you how to keep your legs awake. So that when you come forward, it's not a, okay, good, I don't have to do anything anymore. Nice. And then because you look too comfortable, walk yourself over to the upper right-hand corner of the mat. Yeah. So you can stay low, just walk the torso towards the upper right-hand corner. Keep your hips facing straight ahead, or watch that left hip doesn't roll over. Good. Walk yourself back to center, please, and walk your hands to the upper left-hand corner of the mat. One of those directions probably feels very exciting. Maybe both of them. Again, the mind loves that linear sense of pigeon pose means that I'm always facing straight ahead, and that's okay. I can deal with that. I like that. I understand that. I can tolerate that. Why would you change it? Why would you do this to me? Mind's idea of me. When you remember that the world is not doing anything to us. The world is simply the world, and that concept of what's happening to me instead of how am I engaging in this reality. That shift that Saraswati says, now you're coming back to reality. Come back to center, please. Stay on your forearms if you can, or again, walking yourself back up onto your hands one more time. Come into that quad stretch, bend the back knee, kick your heel, and reach back right hand for the foot or the ankle. So again, you might be able to do that staying on the forearm. It might not be an option at all, in which case, let's stay where you are. Good. Nice. Nice. And then release the foot, please. Beautiful. Walk your hands back up underneath your shoulders. Lift that back knee. Come back to down dog split. Take that right leg up and back behind you. Again, walk your hands back towards that left ankle. So back into that standing split. Or if you have a wall behind you, walk your foot up the wall. Good. And then opportunity, if you do have the wall behind you and your foot is on the wall, toes are tucked under, press into that foot, walk your hands back a tiny bit further, take your gaze towards the tips of your fingers, move your armpits forward over your wrist, press that foot into the wall like crazy, push your butt up to the sky and hover your left foot up off the floor. Yeah, it's like a handstand split. If you do not have a wall, that won't work. So just hang out where you are, maybe coming up onto the ball of that standing foot. Yeah, pretending you're in handstand, and then slowly release that foot, walk yourself forward, come on down everybody to, once you come into downward facing dog, drop down to your knees for a moment, child's pose. I'm not cool. Child's pose. You got to break between sides. Saraswati is the energy of all of our highest consciousness. She's the one that says that we are always a student. And to be the master of this creation, of this reality, means that you have to be a student of it. Anything that you wish to know, been coming up for me a lot in my meditations this Navaratri, that anything that you wish to know, again, you don't own the knowledge of it. You recognize it maybe as something that flows through you or that becomes a part of you. You relate to it. But even your understanding of it is going to continue to expand and renew itself over and over and over again. If you think that that eternal truth is going to look the same day after day, Saraswati says you're wrong. It won't. That's why the practice is to keep the edges of your mind very fluid and open, so that you see the truth as it appears day after day, not the way you assume it's going to look. Walk yourself back up onto hands and knees. Please come back to downward facing dog. Take your left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Walk your hands back towards your foot, coming into that standing split position. Again, if the foot walks up the wall, walk it up the wall. And relax. This is a nice, easy, just hang out in the split. Good. Push your foot into the wall though, so you're really working that thigh all the way up through the front of the pelvis. That's the idea, right? Is to keep stretching the front of the thigh. Good. And then walk your hands back forward, please, into down dog split. Nice. Bring that left knee forward and wide for pigeon. Knee goes wide. Stay upright first. So again, if pigeon upright does not work for you, come into Anjanayasana with the left foot forward, back knee on the floor. And then blocks underneath the hands if you'd like them to be there, so you can be upright. Press into that left shin. Good. Get as tall as you can, as upright as you can. Assume that you were staying here forever. So you can relax. And then optional here is to bend the right knee, kick the heel, and reach back left hand for the foot or the ankle. So the twisting quad stretch if you can. And again, if that option doesn't work well for you, you can reach back with the same hand, or you cannot reach back at all. There you go. Nice, you guys. And then slowly release the foot back to the floor, please. Walk the hands forward in front of you as you unwind your twist. Now come into that resting pigeon, forearms on the floor. Belly to the floor, wherever you come to. Saraswati is that representation of what it means to be before the beginning and after the end. The knowledge of your eternal self. So all of the things that can inspire your mind to be aware of that. I think that you don't always know that are going to do that, but it's poetry and music. The poetry and music and drama of life that can remind us of that reality. So we think that those are the things that pull us away from that, because they know the world is a terrible, difficult place. It says, no, if you're really seeing it for what it is, you're seeing it as that representation of that eternalness, that nothing ever is truly destroyed this morning. Lives forever. Exists forever. Okay. Walk yourself to the upper right hand corner of the mat. Keeping your hips square. And walk back towards center, please. And walk to the upper left hand corner of your mat. And one of those you will probably like better than the other. Either because it's more sensation or it's less, depends on how your mind works. And maybe you don't like either of them. Acceptable. And walk yourself back towards center. And then again, optional to come back into the quad stretch, maybe on your forearms this time, bending the right knee, reaching back with the left hand for the foot or the ankle. And again, you can always come back up all the way onto your hands to find that stretch. Good. And then unwind, please. Hands to the floor, release the foot. Lift the back knee, walk your hands up underneath you. Take that left leg up and back to down dog split. Got it. Walk your hands back towards your foot, coming back to that standing split position, walking your foot up the wall if you have it. And then again, if you have that foot on the wall, pressing the ball of the foot into the wall, walk your hands back a tiny bit more. Armpits lift, gaze lifts. Come up into that hovering split. So right foot comes up off the floor. You got to pull your butt up, engage that belly. Good. If you're at home, standing split up on the ball of your foot. Nice. I like what you're doing there, Victoria. That's nice. Good, you guys. Beautiful. I know. How long can you hold? Forever, right? Nice, Lynn. And then release that foot back down to the floor. Please walk yourself back to downward facing dog, releasing both feet. And then drop your knees to the floor, please. Child's pose. Isn't this better than Saturday morning cartoons? I don't even know if there are any good Saturday morning cartoons anymore. I don't think there are. Find your breath. Your breath, again, being that tool that is not to try and get you away from what's going on in your mind, but it's to get you to be able to settle, to recognize that there is space beyond the thoughts in your mind. That the actual field of your mind is way bigger than that tiny portion that is doing the thinking. And that if you know that, then you treat your thoughts differently. Treat your experience of yourself differently. Walk your hands back in, please. And find your way onto your backs. If you're in the room with me, you can let your heads turn to face the center of the room. If you're at home, any way you'd like. Find your way onto your backs. Good. If you have your block handy, go ahead and lift your hips. Place your block underneath your sacrum. Supported bridge. It might feel better to try to block this one, so it just goes across your sacrum instead of straight up your, like this. Yeah. Is that better? Yeah. Nice, you guys. If you don't have a block, you can either hang out in bridge pose, come down when you need, or you can let your hips stay on the ground in constructive rest. So that's up to you. But again, finding your breath all the way from the top of your chest down into your belly. Inversions are considered calming for the mind. Sending all of that energy and blood and prana up to the head. Finding yourself one more breath here. And then keeping your sacrum on the block, take your legs up to the sky, or if you're doing a modified sort of shoulder stance, so legs straight up, sacrum on the block. But if your block is too high for you to be in that position, adjust your block. Really, you can go to a high height if your back is willing to do that back bend. So don't, assume that there's a height that is automatically too high. Feel yourself drawing wide to the top ridge of your shoulders. Good, you guys. And then legs are still up. Bend your knees to 90 degrees. Good. Keep your left knee right on top of that left hip. Bring your right toes, knee stays bent, but dip your right toes down to touch the floor. Yep. And then pull that knee back up to 90 degrees. And then take your left toes down to touch the floor. And then bring that back up to 90 degrees. And then bring the right toes down. and lift back up. Bring the left toes down, keep your shoulders nice and wide and relaxed, and back up. Then the right toes down and back up. Left toes down, back up. One more time each side. Right toes down and back up. Left toes down and back up to 90 degrees. Stretch your legs straight up to the sky. Good. Press up through your heels, the underside of your heels, your ankles. Nice. And then try to find a little bit more of that arch of your lower back just for a second. Yeah, got it. Good. And then bend both knees, release your feet down to the floor. Lift your hips, come up off the block, move your block to the side. And then if it's available, coming into plow pose, so not necessarily shoulder stand, but plow. So drawing the knees in towards your chest, rolling on your spine just a little bit so you get the low belly to engage the same way you just did. So rolling back and forth. And then as you're ready, set the top bridge of your shoulders, roll your knees in towards your chest, lift your hips, take the legs up and back behind you, letting the feet come towards the floor above the top of your head. So it's like you're in an upside down, seated forward fold. Nice, Andy. You got it, Stacy. Yep. You can use your hands to support the lower back here like you would in shoulder stand or not. It's up to you. Nice, Victoria. You got it, Sue. Really good. Good. You guys keep lifting your hips up towards the sky. And if plow is not in your vocabulary, right? Let the feet come together with your knees drop wide. Supine Badakanasana. Let your breath get wider, get deeper. And if you're in plow and pretty comfortable, separate your feet a little wider and then start to bend your knees alongside your ears. So if your feet are nowhere near the floor, that position probably is not going to mean very much. But if your feet are on the floor, it might feel like a really exciting stretch for your lower back. And if you are done with this position, you've already come out. Supine Badakanasana, please. If you're still in plow, extend the legs all the way back to straight. You can take the legs up to shoulder stand for a breath here if you'd like, or begin to just roll out of the pose from plow. Good. So up to you. If you're coming straight out, roll out of the pose, taking the knees in towards the chest. If you're in shoulder stand, take a couple breaths. And then slowly release, rolling down your spine, drawing the knees in towards your chest again as your hips come low. Pause for a moment, letting the knees hug in. And then placing the feet down to the floor. Everyone's coming into Supine Badakanasana. So bring the bottoms of the feet together, let your knees go wide, feet on the floor. Your breath get longer, get deeper. I was wondering, what is that space that is between the inhale and exhale? Space that exists between the thoughts that you made. Where were you before you were born? Okay, Cupid say, my mommy's belly. Where were you, the essence of you, before you were this embodiment? Right, we can understand biology-wise how a baby comes into form, but have you contemplated how consciousness comes into form? Not where was your body, where was you? Where were you? The gift of Saraswati is to explore these questions through the power of your own mind, to know yourself as more than just this body, more than just the thinking mind, more than just the sum of your experiences in this physical world. And maybe you find that through inspired creativity like poetry or music. If you find it through drama, stories. If you find it through meditation, chanting. If you find it through another faith. She doesn't care as long as you find it. It says, what else is the point of this if you don't even know who you are and what you have? The inspired mind, the ecstatic mind, the gift of Saraswati. She encourages us to engage with silence, not trying to cut out sound, but just allowing that you're not adding anything to it. You're not adding anything to space. What a concept to be able to allow things to rest as they are without trying to add or subtract or change. Ironic, because in the beginning, when we talk about Navaratri, we talk about change, 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 change. By the end, it's stop trying to change everything. You need to draw your knees back towards each other, please. Move the knees in towards your chest. Keep your right thigh on top of your left, stacking the knees. Separate your feet, reach for your ankles or your shins. Right, Gobukasana legs. Right knee on top of left. Nice. And then release the feet, bring the shins together, keep that leg crossed, scoot your hips over to the right, drop your knees to the left. So you're coming into a spinal twist with your legs wrapped. And if having the legs twisted that way does not feel good, other way, Stacy. Knees other way. There you go. If that doesn't feel good on the legs, unwind them and just stack the knees. Or any other version of a twist that you like. Then unwind, come back to center, please. Knees in towards your chest, left knee comes on top of right, stack the knees, separate the feet, reach for the ankles or the shins. To me, this pose does more to release than Shavasana. Again, we could do it every day, multiple times a day. We don't. Why? Release the feet, bring the shins against each other, scoot your hips to the left, drop your knees to the right. And again, if your legs don't like twisting in this position, unwind them and find a position of your choice to do your twist. Slowly unwind, coming back to center, please, hugging the knees in towards your chest. Bring your forehead up to meet your knees and squeeze. And then slowly release, extending out like that pulsation. You get as small as you can, and then you let yourself get as wide and as big as you can. Letting the feet separate, drop open, letting the arms come alongside you, palms face up. Find your Shavasana. And yourself drop into the space. Not just the inhale and the exhale, but what is between. gently let your breath get a little deeper. Let your body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest and roll to your right side. And take a moment before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Bring the hands together in front of the heart center, either palm to palm or the lotus mudra, where you take the middle three fingers apart, thumb and pinky stay together, either one. And the greatest teaching of Saraswati is just to remember that you are not your mind. Your mind can inspire you to experience that infiniteness that you are. You can feel it. But don't uphold the limits of your thoughts. Don't uphold the limits that your mind says. You have to give in to every craving. You have to give in to every fear. You have to give in to every fluctuation. Just keep seeking out that space that is in between the thoughts, that is between the inhale and the exhale, so that you never forget, know yourself always to be more than that accumulation of thought. You are not this body, you are not this mind, but they are the way that you experience that infinite self. So love them for what they are and keep seeking that space. And then we hold that prayer, we hold that thought for ourselves and for all beings that are in transition. That may they find peace in whatever form. They find peace moving from the physical to the immaterial. We know that nothing is ever lost. But still we hold space for all of those feelings that are being embodied. We'll close with the sound of Om. Either keep your hands here or palms together. Deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your weekend until I see you again. Heads up, later today, Gurnath is teaching his workshop on yoga and resilience. So if you want to come to that, that is still available. Tomorrow, tapping circle with Angela, if you're interested in that. And we had new classes start this week. So Sunday, 8 a.m. in studio only, and Thursdays at 7:30. Our new teacher, Lauren, has started his classes, but it's in studio only. So if you're interested, check that out. And we'll see you soon. Have a lovely day. Bye.